This is the draft season podcast. We are live with a quick one today. Um, I don't know if you've been online. Matter of fact, let's get back from the pleasantries. It is your boy Young Raz. Coming live for what I often do. I apologize. Y'all know where it's from, Queens, New York. I'm with my boy Sean 5K. Talk to him.
You already know, man. We back in the building here to give you guys this glorious content. You know what I'm saying? Yo, we it's one thing that everybody love is getting infuriated at lists. So we in here. We had to do the emergency pod. We had to fire up this pack of
Yeah,
you know what I'm saying. Just some of these. Some we're gonna talk about the snubs. We're gonna talk about the people who made the list that you know what I'm saying. We don't know why. You know what I'm saying? There's a lot going on in this world. One thing, first things first, we gotta talk about this. You know what I'm saying? First day in the league, NBA last night was nuts. We gotta talk about real
hold on,
quick. We
hold
gotta
on.
talk
But
about that.
before what we gotta do. Hold on, guys. We gotta ad read. We gotta jump right into it, but we gotta do the ad read real quick. We can't mess up our political connects. Tired of hearing the same old takes from the same old people. Looking to add some humor, culture, and energy to your daily grind. Your search just might be over. At Rise Network, we're a global multimedia platform for the best and most diverse voices in sports, entertainment, and pop culture. Podcast, streams, articles, reviews, you name it, we do it. Visit at Rise Network US on all social media platforms or visit risenetworkus.com for more info. So what are you waiting for? Come rise with us. One of the best ad reads we still have to do to this day. It's real eloquent. This is also a Hennessy podcast. Don't sue us. But yeah, first night in the A, Sean. We was that national game.
It feel good to have the A back. It feel good to
Yeah,
have the NBA back, man. The league pass was cracking.
yes sir.
The Garden was cracking. You know what I'm saying? Spike Lee had that '90s couture on. You know what I'm saying? Everything. My mom got that same blazer,
Yeah,
which
that
is the funny
all
part.
all,
So that
all
had
that's
me.
missing is the shoulder pads from the '90s, bro. You know how the women used to have the suit with the shoulder pads on them. That's all it was missing. But I mean, the Garden. If every home game gonna be like that this year, listen, man, that's what the city needs. Win or lose, man. The Garden is rocking. Um, people were talking that Nets taking over the city shit. You know, those vegan chopped cheese, um, Birkenstock sandal gentrifiers can't take over the city. They got great talent, but Lorendo is the king of New York.
If you want to, you know, it's wild because I was at the Barclays recently and for the last preseason game, and obviously preseason it was a preseason game, but I mean I didn't get a chance to make it to the Garden for any preseason games. But if we just talking the environment and just the electricity that was in the Garden for Game One, yeah, like the home court advantage the Knicks got is nuts. But we gotta talk about one Julius Randle. People, I seen a lot of people say the Knicks was a regression candidate. The team is way better this year, so I can't jack that at all. This team is going to be much improved from what we saw last year. Uh, Jalen Brown caught the Holy Ghost last year, fresh off the COVID. He put on a damn show last night too. So that game was nuts. What else did you take away from that game though, Raz?
So
Shout out to the homie Paulie Pockets in the building.
yeah,
What's good? What's good, my G? What up, dog? Will there will there be dog shade slander? You already know we're gonna get to that in a second, my guy.
yeah, we can't. Some of these people couldn't dribble with their left hand, so we're gonna talk about it. But shout out to Dolph. A real questionable name. But we'll get back into it. I think with the Knicks, bro. Much maligned signing of Evan Fournier, already paying off dividends in the first game. Last year, the Knicks were missing secondary ball handlers, secondary playmakers with the ability to drive and kick, or even catch and shoot. The Knicks were very devoid of accurate and dynamic shooting last year. Evan Fournier checks pretty much those boxes at the market rate that we got him for. This Knicks team is going to hang his hat on defense for the most part, but they have people on this team now, even with the addition of Kemba Walker, bringing back Alec Burks, all of those guys that you now have a team that's a little bit more interchangeable. So Evan Fournier, man, big game. Um, Mark knocking him down, had the Garden on his side, and he's looking like one of those guys who can be a fan favorite out here. And I mean, I think the Knicks probably should have got him the last time he was up for free agency. But this is one of those times where it looks like, it's not over yet, but it looks like better late than never with him, because he's looking to be a good addition to this team. And just want to shout out Obi Toppin as well.
I want to say shout out to Rowan Barrett real quick. Bodman Barrett, Bodman Barrett, man, in the building. Real Yardy vibes, man. That kid, and if we take it back, because RJ was a real prestigious prospect. He had the blue chip pedigree. If you I watched a lot of RJ in the grassroots circuit. You know what I'm saying, playing Team US. I mean, playing for Canada. Playing in a lot of the FIBA games and all that stuff. Particularly when you talk about what he did at Duke, but his involvement into, and I think he has a chance to make an all defense team. What he did defensively in that first game was incredible. I think his motor on defense is something that he got a lot of. Like I said, it was much maligned, and particularly at Duke, he got a jacker reputation. Somebody who it was funny to see the relationship with him and Zion, and the Zion critiques, and I think people just wanted to see the ball in Zion's hand, and it kind of just did a disservice to RJ in general and the type of player he is. But you know what I'm saying, that RJ definitely has potential for a two-way wing, all NBA type guy. I mean, all defense type of guy. And I think Tibbs rubbing off of him is a sight to behold, and I think he's just gonna unlock a whole different game that people didn't see from RJ, man.
And I think you need to look at it this way too. There's been a lot of people down on RJ this year, and I'm not even the biggest RJ fan, but he's improved in every single year that he's been in the league, right? And defense is the new undertaking that he's going to take. I don't expect big statistical jumps in his like points or even assists this year, just because the way this team is constructed. There's too many people. There's too many mouths to feed. There's too many good players on this team, which is something we haven't said about the Knicks in years. There's too many good players on this team.
Quick got like 8 minutes yesterday.
Yeah,
and I think that's kind of quick. I think Quick showed out in summer league. I don't think he's not getting 8 minutes because of him. it's really not on him, and I think that's a great problem to have for the Knicks. Like even guys like Quentin Grimes, who I think that those last couple preseason games, he showed he's ready to contribute in the rotation, and it's still an uphill battle for him to get 15 minutes a game. So, like I said, these are great problems to have, and you need depth. You need depth to get through the season, and Tibbs is the kind of guy that I think Tibbs is. He's pretty good on having his thumb on the pulse of the actual game, knowing who needs to sit down, calling the right, plays at the right time, getting the right rotation in there. So I mean, other than it was also nice to see RJ and Julius play like 47 minutes in game one. But yeah, those guys at this point, we're just gonna pray for their ligaments. We're gonna pray for, all the tissues, the knee tissues, and all that good stuff, and just all of the and pray that the cryogenic and all the recovery stuff that the Knicks is working for them, the ice baths, all that stuff. We're just gonna pray that they're gonna be healthy for the rest of the way, because Tibbs is gonna ride them, and for the most part, those guys aren't taking possessions off. Nah. I can't even be mad at it.
I can't. I mean, I'll say this as well. Heavier Mitchell Robinson is a menace. He needs to play his way into game shape. Like, he's very out of game shape right now, but he was winded as fuck last night. 5 for 5, 11.17 rebounds, and I think 2 blocks. Mitchell Robinson, if he can stay healthy and he's getting that 25 to 27 minutes a game with a spell from Obi, hopefully, and maybe a little Nerlens Noel when he gets back, I think this team, like you said, has the necessary depth. And he didn't have any foul trouble yesterday, which is something that we worry about with Mitchell Robinson. Through like overtime one, he had 1 or 2 fouls. So if he can keep with that same type of trajectory, the Knicks are a team that has been getting a lot of criticism this offseason. I think they're going to surprise people again, which it shouldn't be a surprise. But here we are.
I think even like, because I think I was real critical of Obi, just in terms of not seeing the path for him, just because of his lack of agility and his lack of ability to really move his feet on defense. But I think this is one of those situations to where, even going back to Tibbs for a second, he's really played a great part in putting him in the right situations. And this is and I think coaches at the time sometimes they get a little too much flack when things are going bad. But Tibbs in particular, I think he's just getting to these guys. And the way Tibbs, we seen it. Like I said, our homie Paulie Pox in the chat brought up the Jimmy Buckets thing, and obviously Jimmy Butler has spoke about this on wax about how important that Tibbs was his development. But Tibbs, his the way he teaches players, I think that's an underrated part. And one of the biggest problems the Knicks have had in the past is not developing their young guys. So just looking at all the young guys, and we talked about not having minutes for guys like even Obi to really spread his wings. I just think for the future and the development of these young guys, that's a great sign for the Knickerbockers. Long season ahead, it's going to be fun to check out these games at the Garden. But let's get to the entree. Let's get to the main course in here. Top 75 players of all time. I want to start off by saying one thing. I think the NBA butchered the list off rip, and this is not even before we get into Paulie Pox in the chat. He said if you stand at the white part of your Chuck Taylors while you dribble, you can't make the list. like facts. But just talking about how the NBA actually butchered this list, I think we had the original top 50 list, and I think just the rehashing of the actual list, I think they just muddied it up by going top 75 and redoing that list. Because honestly, they're not really redoing the list. It just kind of just messed up the overall order. I think you should have they should have just grandfathered the original 50 in. And if you want to just go to the next 25 or the next 25 years, I think that was probably the best way to really handle this. So exactly when we get into some of these old guys that played in the 50s, the 60s, the Bob Bryant All-Stars, the Kuzis, the Havliceks, the Dolph Shades, these guys, we're gonna get into the slander of these guys. We're gonna pick a random guy for them NBA right now, Raz. Stick him in the 50s. What is he gonna do with that? What is he gonna do in the 50s?
They're gonna lynch him. Given the color of his hue, the hue of his skin, that might be an issue. But you never know with these people. I think you got to think of it this way. Like, I hate as much as we have to hate on that older generation because the skill set now, the game has evolved. This, that, and the third. I think we have to find a fine line between docking someone because of their time period and kind of look at how they dominated that time period. I think that's kind of the most fair way to go about it, honestly, because if we're going to do it by talent, we're just going to keep, like, at some point, Magic Johnson going to fall off the list, right? Like,
I wouldn't go that far.
But as ridiculous as it sounds, like, talent, like I'm talking about actual skill level, and like he didn't have the best handle or nothing like that. I will never take him off my list, but if we keep doing this at some point, like we could just keep adding people. I don't know if we need to take people off the list. Like
there should have been a line of demarcation for the actual list. I feel like that would have made it. You could have had two different versions of the list, and even Eric Pascal would have been a problem in the I don't think they would have had an answer for Eric Pascal in the 70s, bro. Like you would have went insane in the 70s, bro. Like and Pascal's he's like a 10th man right now.
Yeah, Robert Horry, bro.
Let's
Robert Horry in the 60s.
Let's not get crazy now because Robert Horry never made he never really had an all-star season. I think
Robert Horry is in the 60s. He's the greatest player of all time.
Fair enough. But let's just get straight into the snubs. Or what was your, now that we have the full list, what was the first thing that came to mind, good or bad? For me, I'm happy to see my son Melo made it. I think a lot of people
I was gonna riot.
I was gonna be, you know what I'm saying? That would have been very disrespectful to keep Melo off. Melo, one of the best scorers the game has ever seen. If you want to make the argument that Melo's stats was not empty, I think that's a very weak argument if you want to say it's empty. The impact was always there. I think Melo's biggest problem in his career was being compared to LeBron one. But for you at least, Raz, we're not going to belabor the Melo point. But for you at least, what was the number one thing that stood out to you now that we have the full list in front of us right now, top 75 all time?
First thing, I guess basketball used to be really white, and then second,
Yeah, James Naismith rolling over in his grave
yeah,
at the amount
yeah,
of melanin on this list right now.
I think the Dwight Howard admission is something that I think is a bit strange. Anthony Davis making it today, I was pretty shocked about that as well. Um, I think he has the ability to improve on his resume, but I think Dwight and him have a pretty similar resume at this current juncture. So I guess if you're going by trajectory, Anthony Davis will surpass him. But I do think Dwight Howard deserves to be on this team. I mean, there's 11 active players on the team, but I think Dwight should have been one of those guys.
Dwight disrespect is nuts, man. We gotta really unpack the Dwight disrespect for a moment because this is one of the main things on my mind, and we can talk about it for Dwight's peak when he came into the league, and people always like obviously Dwight is not the most skilled offensive big man. He never had the most. He's not Hakeem Olajuwon in the paint. Even though shout out to French Montana for the glorious Dwight Howard in the paint.
Yeah,
Just an amazing classic bar. Always out of Fanu the Coop. But we talk about Dwight and his actual peak and what he actually did. Dwight is even compared to somebody like Rudy Gobert, whose impact on the league right now, Rudy Gobert still doesn't compare to what Dwight Howard actually did. Dwight's resume in his first 10 years, and you can make the argument about the second half of Dwight's career really falling
yeah,
off. We're talking eight-time NBA All-Star, five-time All NBA first team, three back he won Defensive Player of the Year back to back to back, four-time all defense first team, rebounding led the league in rebounds five times, led the league in blocks twice. Going back, I tweeted this earlier. We talk about that 2009 season, which honestly, looking back in hindsight, and that was the one year where we actually felt like we was actually supposed to get that LeBron first Kobe finals, and everything seemed like it was all shaping up to get that LeBron first Kobe finals. Dwight Howard is the reason that never happened. He robbed us of a. I mean, and honestly, it's not even like he that the actual that was a I'll give the Magic a good series. The Lakers won that series, but it was a pretty good series game by game. But just talking about what Dwight actually did in that series, he put up 26 and 13, 69 true shooting percentage. His and I think what other I think Dwight we talk about if we just stay away from Shaq about just being like Shaq is in a whole different league of his own. And we're gonna talk about Shaq in a minute because Shaq and we just talk about selling yourself and the perception because Dwight's taking massive perception L's on this because this is not about what he did on the actual court. I don't know if Shaq did, I don't know if he went through and just created like a whole slander panel, which is like, yo, don't vote for Dwight. I wouldn't put it past Shaq because that man is a massive hater. And even on the TNT panel, they wouldn't even speak on his name. I don't think that was on purpose, but yeah, man, I just think, and going back to the actual Lakers year, because Lakers fans are some son of a bitches if we just talking about that for good and bad. Great, I mean, call them what you want. That's one of the best fan bases in the world, just in terms of what I'm saying, how dedicated and the diehard fans that Lakers fans have, and coast to coast that you find Lakers fans anywhere. Dwight labored through that last super team, which honestly, and I'm one of the biggest Steve Nash fans that you'll find. I think what his imprint on the NBA game is super important, and I think he's one of if I made a list of the most important players of just who shaped the modern NBA, I think Steve Nash is definitely in the top five if we're just talking about that. But we're talking about a washed Steve Nash who he was 39 and for as
see
good as Steve
that
Nash was,
Sports Illustrated cover is the worst thing of all time, man. Like that they sold that as a super team, and that was kind of the Lakers super teams, of that era kind of formed late. Even when they had Gary Payton and
he
Karl
was
Malone,
pushing
like
40, bro. He was pushing
like,
40.
they're just going over hills. So it's just like Dwight. I don't think I think people really just sit there and think about Kobe calling him soft, and
Shaq,
that's like it, like I know Shaq has been on him for years, because he went with the Superman thing and all of that. But through all of that, at that point, he was still getting the accolades. He was still going, 3 in a row, I believe, defensive player of the year.
Yeah, 3 in a row. Yep.
Like his rebounding numbers were nuts. Like he led that team to the final.
Only player to ever win back to back to back.
Yeah, so this was at the time, and then he gets to LA and beefs with Kobe, and from there, his reputation was dead. And even in Houston, he was putting up good numbers before his back went out, and we just sweep that under the rug.
If we're just talking about that, because I think people, I forget what year it is off the top of my head, but that first game winning series, where he hit the game winner. Yep. Dwight was amazing in that series. It's swept under the rug because people only remember the game winning, because we have short memories and people don't really have the leg room or whatever to really have these nuanced, like conversations about value. But Dwight was amazing in that series. We can't. And people, we can't really look at that. I think even if you stick peak Dwight into the league right now, I still think he's definitely a top 10 player in the league right now. Peak Dwight, without a doubt in my mind, he's a top 10 player in the league right now. So, the Dwight thing just doesn't make sense to me, bro. I think he just lost the having a good PR team in this. I don't think it should matter as most, but perception is a bitch. And I think I remember when he was getting slandered for the trannies thing. Also, I think that also played a part on it about people just not respecting him no more. It's a lot of things when it comes to Dwight, bro.
Yeah, I think it's one of those situations where does he make the next iteration of this list? Probably not. I think they keep disrespecting him, and I think that's a huge part of everything. I think I want us to really sit here and evaluate Dwight Howard's career without any of the narratives and just think, is he one of the best 75 players in the league? And I think the answer is yes. I think, moving on, because we could talk about Dwight Howard, all day, but I think one of the other snubs, in my opinion, they left off Artis Gilmore. I'm not here to argue with anybody about that. I think you just have to look him up. But what do you think about Chris Bosh being left off this list?
I think that's another one too. I think the back half of Chris Bosh's career definitely would have made him on this list. I think also the front half of Bosh's career, what he did in Toronto, is also massively underrated. So I think overall with Bosh, it sucks that the heart condition really took him out. Because I think if he got another 5 years, and even going back to that last season before his career basically ended, he was playing amazing ball after Bron left. And so I definitely think just off longevity that Bosh definitely had I think if we're just talking talent, I think he's one of the most talented 75 players in NBA history easily. I think the numbers probably aren't going to be there, but yeah, there's a reason why he was he was amazing to play that third banana role in the big three. And I don't think every type, I don't think a lot of those bigs from that era would have been as good. You know what I'm saying? Just translating to being that new age stretch five, and also defensively, I think Bosh's impact on that defense and what he did on the back line is another thing that was just massively underrated.
My thing with Bosh, people forget Toronto. And I think that's where you have to go look about who the player he was there, and then the transition he made to Miami, the things he sacrificed out of his game, and still the results that he put up with taking those concessions to Dwayne Wade and LeBron James, which, arguably he wasn't on their level as players, but he wasn't too far behind. So those Chris Bosh led Raptor teams, go check his numbers. He was a number one option. There's no doubt about that. So I think talent wise, like you said, he's somebody I think should be on that list. Now, I think somebody like conversely, just to go off topic real quick, somebody like Chris Webber, if he played like now, I think he's somebody that we're considering on that list. You know what I'm
I think
saying? Just like
another one is I gotta say just disrespect. Bernard King definitely should be on this list as well. I think that one doesn't make much sense to me either. Bernard
I mean,
King, one of the
people say his prime was short,
people say his
but
prime is short, but he still gave you 20, basically
yeah.
24 plus from and that's the crazy thing. I think everybody has a different criteria for this. And I think some people are more interested in longevity, where I think some people value that peak earlier. But I think if you could give me a 8 to 10 year peak, which I think Bernard King definitely gave you that of averaging like over like 24, 20, like 23 plus. And just I think another thing that I think you can't really discredit and you have to really understand. I think there's an imprint on the fabric of basketball. And I think another point that Adam Silver made when he was on Inside the NBA talking with Chuck Ernie and Chuck Ernie and Kenny and Shaq. He talked about the imprint in the league and actual how young the NBA is in comparison to like baseball or even the NFL. So I think
Yeah.
even as a growing sport, and particularly when we just talk about the influx of cash and the influx of interest and what this last generation has done for the league, it is kind of crazy when we just talk about or just giving or some of the older guys who did it definitely pioneers. But I think in the long run, when we look back at this list, I think there's going to be some glaring omissions. Real quick, let's get to some of the more modern
Snyder.
guys who got to.
Oh,
Let's.
oh,
I want to talk about some of the more modern guys. Let's talk about some of the more recent crop. Obviously, I think Westbrook is definitely under the heater right now for what he did in that first game. Westbrook obviously deserves on this list.
yeah, for sure.
Obviously deserves on this list. Easily top 75. It's always gonna be nuts looking back at it that I think Clay Bennett is one of the biggest pieces of shit in the NBA. I would love to see OKC get, you know what I'm saying, just get them out of the league. I don't really give a fuck, honestly. Just between I don't know if anybody's ever seen the Sonics Gate documentary on YouTube. Have you seen that, Reds?
I have not, bro.
If you got an hour and a half of your time, you know what I'm saying, it's on YouTube. You need to go and watch what just the disgusting shit that happened and how actual Clay Bennett stole that team from Seattle, which is one of the best NBA markets in the country, which is the wild thing. So yeah, one, I just want to say fuck Clay Bennett. But the fact that Sam Presti honestly drafted 3 top 75 players and they're gonna have nothing to show for that except one finals appearance, that's just gonna be some nut shit.
Yeah,
So
that's malpractice right there, bro.
let's get back into some of the modern guys. How do we feel about there's the crop. I'm talking what is the most egregious snub out of this quick list? Let's go T Mac, let's go
Mhm.
Vince Carter,
Mhm.
let's go Grant Hill, let's
Yeah.
go Penny Hardaway. I think another one we could talk about Adrian Dantley is another one on this list.
Alex English.
Alex English, there's a bunch. What do you think is I'm also gonna put Paul Gasol on this list. Paul
Paul
Gasol,
Gasol.
I think Paul
Okay.
Gasol has easily, if we talk about longevity, I think his peak, I think he's one of the most underrated, just versatile big men. I hate the fact that some people try and frame it as Kobe did it without, or Kobe won those last couple of rings without, or an elite player on his thing. Paul Gasol, one of the most. Paul Gasols are not just walking around the league. If we just talk about, I talk about this recently. Whenever the word generational has been bastardized to it's been smashed. The word doesn't mean shit anymore. We throw that word out way too much. But Paul Gasols are not just walking around and coming into the league every day. His ambidextery, being able to finish with either hands, he's one of the best big men that I've ever like. He has one of the best touch around the rim compared to other big men. I think also his passing ability as a big man. Paul Gasol is a special player, so I think he also has a very strong argument about not being in this top 75 list. Obviously, a future Hall of Famer. But yeah, going off those snubs, those are another of the most egregious snubs to you, Brad.
So I see people are talking about Kyrie. Now, I think it's a controversial one because Kyrie's not on the list, but Dame is. So
Maybe if Kyrie had that shot, this would be different. I don't know if
yeah,
giving publicity to an anti-vaxxer is in the league's best interest right now. But you know what I'm
nah,
saying? Kyrie walks his own path. That was his choice.
he
Sometimes there's
does.
repercussions with the choices you make.
But that's my thing. Like, I love Dame. I do think Dame.
He's a top 75 talent.
Yeah,
Is he there just yet? I think that's an argument to be had.
because then it goes
He has
criteria to your point. What's the criteria?
he has if you just want to go off, I think individually, I think he has an argument to be the second best shooting guard of all, or just like if we're just talking about guard creators, I think he's going to be up there right behind Steph. If we're just talking about the ability to really stretch the floor, because Dame is not Steph, and it's funny. It's funny, especially that what was the 2019-2020 season when Steph was hurt, and particularly when Dame was just going ballistic and fucking up the league. I think a lot of people tried to make the argument about him being better than Steph at the time, which was always a weak argument. It was a very prisoner of the moment thing. I think what's Dame has done by himself. For me, I think Dame's imprint on just the NBA. I think we're just talking about how much of an outlier Steph winning those championships as the number one player is as a guard. You know what I'm saying? We could go down the list. Guards as a number one player really don't win rings outside of you have Isaiah, you have Magic, and then the list goes to basically Steph. I think Dame,
Yep.
for as amazing as he is, I look at Dame as for there basically where you got to get to as a guard to be the best player on a championship team is an absurd level when there's freaks like Giannis, when there's freaks like LeBron, when there's Kevin Durant's on this planet that's also playing at the same time as you. It's damn near an impossible mountain to get up for Dame. But I think what Dame's done just leading that team by himself, I don't know how much more I could basically ask Dame to do by himself. Dame first, Kyrie, I think it's a very damn good conversation just to have
Yeah.
about who deserved that spot more. If you had to talk about it, who do you think deserved that spot more between Dame and Kyrie?
Fuck, bro. I'll lean Kyrie a little bit.
I don't know, man.
And I know it's tough, right? And I think it's only literally because of the ring. And I'm not even a rings guy when it comes to these conversations, but I feel like it was close. So I had to pick one. I think Dame has proven that he can make a deep playoff run as a number one. Kyrie hasn't shown me
CJ
that.
McCollum has been his Robin, and if we just go over the list of Robins, is that really getting it? I think for sure. Even as a Kyrie as a 16 game player, when you get into the postseason, I think that's amazing. But for what Dame has done as the alpha in loaded Western Conference, I think that for me personally, that has to give him the edge over Kyrie.
Yeah. Okay.
Because even we talk about what has Kyrie really done as a number one seed. He had that first Boston season was solid. It went off the ropes that towards the end of the Boston South. The first Nets season, which was basically the bubble season before that, Kyrie was really damn good. Kyrie doesn't have that on his resume to where it's just like, can't Kyrie really lead a group of you know what I'm saying, not the most talented guys? He doesn't even seem interested in doing that. I don't think it's like Paulie Parker said in the chat, I don't think it's a large gap between the two. But for what they've actually done, I think if you want to go Kyrie skill-wise, and Kyrie's more skilled, for sure. But I think at a certain point, Dame's resume and what Dame's actually done, as I think Dame is a much better leader as well. I think intangibles, you know what I'm saying? I think that's another thing we really can't discredit here. And for me, swap Kyrie. We've seen Dame hit incredible shots to end series. That Kyrie shot he hit against the Warriors is one of it's an amazing shot.
That's the loudest shot though. Like
it's getting overrated though at this point. I'm sorry.
So?
It is because it is. I think honestly, not to say what Kyrie's done, not to say what Kyrie did in that series, because him and LeBron both were on one. But I think about just, you know what I'm saying, taking Kyrie to that next level and kind of comparing it to some of the stuff Dame did. Do we really think if Dame is on that team and he's playing with LeBron, how much better is it? Would he be a better Robin? Possibly, but I don't think like it, we're talking a slim margin. We're talking a slim margin at that fact. If all the pieces around them are right, I really think Dame as your number two next to a guy like LeBron. I think as long as the rest of the roster is there, I don't really think it's that big of a gap or make a tangible difference if we're really talking about it at the end of the day.
All right. I mean, you might have talked me into Dame. I think just but is there anybody that Kyrie needs to be on that list for? And I think that's like the best and next part of this episode.
There's a couple guys we can knock off for Kyrie that I wouldn't be upset about.
Who can we knock? So all right, out of the people that we've listed that have been snubbed, right? Who let's like think of three. What's your top three out of those three of snubs? Yeah. Or we can do 5 to make it an arbitrary number, like a round number. Even I don't know, 5 is a round number, but here we go. It makes round numbers. 5, the top 5 ranked.
I'm knocking off all of the Bob.
No.
I mean, hold on. Knocking off all of the Bob Ryan All Stars, man. They getting the fuck off my list for Kyrie.
All right, so no, I'm saying let's take 5 that are snubs and put them on for the Bob Ryan All Stars. Which 5 would it be?
What's the next 5 up? Okay, next 5 up.
Yeah, next 5 up. That's the short way to get to that point I was trying to make.
Shane, it's not Kyrie disrespect, bro. It's not Kyrie disrespect. Shout out to Shane. I don't know if you've seen the mention. It's not, bro. You gotta have Kyrie is an amazing talent, bro. He's one of the best Robins of all time. But if we really stacking the resume up, it's just like, bro, regular. Yo, that's the funny thing. But yes, Kyrie has he has what is he, 6-time All-Star? Dame can match him on the All-Star thing. We have to also weigh the regular season. People just like yes, the playoffs matter, but you also got to put in the work to get to the postseason, man. Like that matters. Dame has multiple seasons on that list. He has multiple seasons on that level, carrying dudes. I'm valuing that more. 82 game season, doing it every night, leading teams. Bro, I'm valuing that more because, bro, Kyrie's a lunatic, man. Also, Kyrie is also he's also primed to miss 15 to 20 games every year. Like that, like in the grand scheme of things, like that matters to me. But let's talk about the next 5 up because I'm putting Jokic on my next 5. I think Jokic has. I
agree. I
think Jokic just belongs on this list. I've seen enough. I've seen enough already. I've seen enough. Jokic is
Julius Randle. But I'm saying I think I think Jokic, like you said, his trajectory is out of control. He's already an MVP. How old is Jokic? Late 20s?
Like 26, 27?
Jokic is 26. Okay. So you see how Giannis is on this list.
Hold on. Real quick. Because for all of the shit that we're talking about Kyrie, like Kyrie belongs somewhere around here on this list. If he's probably missing it, because like even people gonna say we shit on Kyrie, like no, literally Kyrie's had the best point guard. He basically had the best rookie
players to play this game. I hate to
break Kyrie's been the, like if we talk about since the one and done era, and we just talk about first years coming out of college, Kyrie's basically been the best guard to come into the league that year one. Kyrie's rookie season has been it was incredible. People talking like that's the funny thing. We talk like people. It's like nobody's shitting on Kyrie. We know exactly how good he is. That's the funny part. I know exactly how good he is. Kyrie's rookie season, it's like I said, it's the best scoring season. It's the best rookie season. Basically, honestly, you want to put Anthony Davis up there, but for the guards, the one and done guards, Kyrie's in a league of his own. When we just talk about how good he was the second he came into that league and what he's done from day one. So it's not shitting on Kyrie. I think Kyrie still, and that's the funny thing because everybody, I think we've all looked at Kyrie as the type of dude to just hang up. You know what I'm saying? Hang up his sneakers real early, and just retire at like 32. That's the funny thing about him taking this year off for the vaccine, because Kyrie's always struck all of us as that type of dude. So there's just other type of resume things. And Kyrie still has a damn, one of the biggest shots in NBA history, All-Star MVP. Kyrie's is up there, but you know what I'm saying? There's a couple things that just knock him down on my list. But let's get into that those top 5 snubs, Raz, or the next 5 up that you throw up?
All right.
We was talking about Jokic. We can get back to Jokic if you want.
Jokic is on the list, man. He's 26, MVP already. He is the best big in the league. One of the most skilled players we've ever seen at that size, if not the most. I don't know what else to say. I think he keeps getting better. He keeps getting in better shape. I think that's the scariest part about it. I think I'm not going to argue you on it. I think we can sneak him in here as the 5th person up for me. I don't know where you have him. 5th or 1st. I'm trying to think how crazy you get.
He's up there for me.
Okay. Then I'll probably go next. Then I'll go Vince Carter
over T-Mac.
I could put T-Mac a little higher than Vince, can I? Or it has to be one or the other.
That's fine. I don't really want to do order. We can do next 5 up.
That's what I'm saying, because I think Vince Carter, the longevity, you got to talk to it, and I think Vince Carter cheated us of himself. I think he could have been a way better player, but I don't think I think he deserves a spot on this. So who would you get next?
Why did Giannis have a vote for the top 75? By the way, that didn't. I don't know why Giannis.
Giannis had a vote.
Giannis ain't even have internet growing up, bro. Why is he like? I could have gave me his vote. I could have.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
I could have did a better job.
What the fuck? All right, who else got a vote?
Bill Simmons. That's why we're not taking this list serious, bro. Bill Simmons got a vote.
They gave Bill Simmons a vote,
bro. Yeah.
No Bob Bryant.
No Bob Bryant. I would rather Bob Bryant have a vote than Bill Simmons.
I don't know, bro. That's. I mean, Bill Simmons is an awful person, but Bob Bryant it's gonna be like the 62 Celtics 7th man on the list, bro. Like I don't think we don't need that at all, bro. Damn. Okay. So Bill Simmons, Giannis with a vote. Is Giannis old enough to vote? Like, how old is Giannis?
I mean, they gave it to him, man. He's on there.
All right.
Yeah, he's on there.
Who's your next player up? Because I didn't know Giannis was participating in voting on basketball.
Yeah, I'm throwing like I said, I'm throwing T-Mac on there. The Vince Carter one is interesting to me. I think that's the funny thing. Whenever I think about Vince Carter, I think our perception of him is a little better than his career.
Maybe.
In totality. But yeah, I'm not mad at Vince Carter. I'm not mad at Vince Carter at all. My next one, like I said, I'm throwing Paul on my list. Paul Gasol. I think Paul Gasol definitely has an argument to be on that list. We mentioned Bernard King earlier. Bernard King is definitely on my list. Pretty interesting one. I think this also sucks. I can just get your thoughts on it because I'm still mulling. We're doing this one off the top of our head. How do we feel about Klay Thompson missing this list? I think
I'm okay with it. Like it's tough, right? Like he's a 3-time champ? 3-time champ.
He got a nice resume, man. I got a nice resume.
He does have a nice resume.
I got it right in front of me. 3-time champ, 5-time NBA All-Star, 2-time All-Third NBA team. Also made a defensive All-Defense team in 2019. If we're gonna like I said, if we're gonna honor these dudes that played in the 50s, man, I like I said, people going like Draymond, all right, top 100 maybe. I think Draymond, you're a little lower beneath. Like I said, I pray Klay to get healthy. He's not there yet. The last couple years definitely gonna hurt him, just in terms of missing out and just accumulating more stats. But I think, like I said, if we're gonna honor these dudes that did it in the 50s, man, the Warriors are legit the best dynasty of the modern NBA. So I think it has a stronger argument than is going to be given credit for. So I think he's on my maybe list. So who else you got?
I started pondering some of the old heads, like Alex English, Bernard King, players that you can't argue about their scoring prowess. They were some of the best to do it. So I think I'm gonna go Bernard King. Just for a little homer action there. I think Bernard King should be on this list.
This feels about where Kyrie should be ranked.
Yeah, right.
This definitely, but like we throwing off the Bob Bryant All Stars anyway, so we probably both agree that there's a couple guys we would definitely throw off for Kyrie Irving. Also, and this is another one for injuries, but I wouldn't be mad at him for getting in there because Pete Grant Hill was truly on some other shit. So I would give him a nod in the top five. Let's talk about we'll close out on this. Let's just say from these recent stars, the next generation, the next 25. So when in 25 years, I can't do math. So what would that be? 2046? I can't do math on top of my head. What would that next? Who you think are the players currently playing that have the best argument to spruce
be on
that
next
resume up
25
for the next 25 years? Currently playing in the league right now.
Off the top of my head, Luka.
Niggas get so sensitive when it comes to Kyrie Irving, bro. Like,
people are very like, come on, bro. We all agree he can play. He can play good. He's good at the basketball. But there are a lot of people that were good at this sport, man. This is why we have these conversations.
I seen what Kyrie did as a lead champ or lead dude against that Bucks team a couple years in the playoffs. Like, this is he just got to show it to me a little more, bro. That's all I'm saying. I'm not saying he can't. And that's the thing. I think his resume is incomplete at this point. And but yeah, like I said, niggas get sensitive when it comes to Kyrie. But yeah, my bad.
No, you good. Luka, LaMelo Ball. That guy looks exhilarating on the court. We'll go Ja Morant. Obviously Jokic will make it. Who are we thinking? Those are like the four off the top of my head. I'm sure there's some players that I'm spacing on right now. Who can you bring to your mind right now?
Did Kawhi did make a list. Kawhi did make a list. Kawhi was on that list.
Kawhi's on the list, yeah. Oh, Paul George, maybe?
Paul George definitely has a case somewhere.
Yeah, Paul George has a case.
Range. I think especially
friend of the show, Paul George.
Friend of the show, Paul George. Let me pull up his resume real quick. But I do think Paul George has been damn good for a minute. And I do think for all of the slander that we do give him, like, bro, like, niggas don't want to hear this. Niggas do not want to hear this. Niggas don't want to hear this. But like, is Kyrie a better player than Paul George?
No.
Like, he's not. Like, bro, Paul George, 7 times.
And this is me saying this.
7-time NBA All-Star, and all NBA team on first team 2019, 5-time All Third Team, 2-time All Defensive First Team, 2-time All Defensive Second Team, Most Improved Player in the league. Like, bro, like he's damn good, and this is what we're talking about. If we just talking about lining him up, when we talking about getting the best Robins, I think Paul George also got to be on that list as well.
Oh yeah, for sure. He's somebody that if he's your number 2 player, you have a good chance to get deep into the playoffs. You know, if you took all of Paul George's talent and put it in a real nigga, they'd be a champion by now.
Oh man, niggas not gonna hear this shit. Niggas don't want to hear this shit either. But Rudy Gobert probably gonna be somewhere on this list. He's not far off either. He's not far off.
What is he at? 2-time?
He's gonna have a Dwight Howard-esque argument by the time he's done. It's probably closer than you probably think right now, too.
Yeah.
And like, yeah, let's say this Utah team keeps chilling for a couple seasons at this level for another 3-4 seasons. That resume is gonna be too strong to argue as somebody in that top 75, 85-ish range or whatever you want to look at that. People don't want to hear that. They don't want to hear that. But this is not about what you want to hear. This is not about what you want to hear because, like I said, NBA fans are very fickle. They will turn at you on the first drop of a dime. People don't care. All NBA Twitter is in a very dark place right now because all people care about is getting these center off all people care about is getting these jokes off, and all niggas care about is what their agenda is. Now, that is no, and I'm all for the ignorance, Raz. We all about ignorance on here. We are pro ignorance on the Draft Season podcast. Do not get us fucked up. We are pro ignorance. I am pro joke, but we cannot when we talking about we not NBA players. So there's a certain level of just being respectful to what niggas actually do on the court. And when we talk about this, the jokes always go too far. Also, shout out to my guy Spider.
What about Devin Booker?
He got a way to go. He still got a way to go. Chris, did Chris Paul make the list?
Yeah, he made the list. Come on.
Okay, I didn't see Chris Paul on this list, but yeah,
he made the list. That that was bro. You don't think we would have called an emergency show already by now if
they didn't make the finals, man? I wouldn't put it past niggas to do some grinding.
Nah, that's crazy.
That's how fickle perception is. But yeah, man. I think do we got a Blake Griffin? How do we feel about Blake Griffin on that next? I think Blake's peak probably keeps him away from this, but I think Blake's peak, I think Blake's resume. If we talk about the next 25, he's probably gonna miss it. Obviously, I think people probably miss him, but I think how good Blake was is definitely gonna get missed. Yeah, because they never won a ring, they never made it to that top ring. But you're just talking about his actual resume for what he did. I think Blake, and that's my thing, bro. I forgot who I saw made this point.
I got a name for you right after this too.
I forgot who I saw made this point, but yeah, if Blake came along a little later in his career and he did some of the point forward stuff that he can do, just skill wise, I think his resume would have definitely put him on. His career would have been even better. For as good, and injuries fucking suck. Injuries definitely played a part on sapping some of the greatest talents that we've seen in this list. But yeah, hit me with that last one, Raz.
Kevin Love. Somebody who
bro.
I know I hate Kevin Love.
I'm listen, that one.
I'm saying his early trajectory, bro. Kevin Love was someone I think if he doesn't go and team up with LeBron and have to play that.
I'll never think Kevin Love is better than DeMarcus Cousins, but that's just my personal opinion on the matter.
I mean, injuries, bro.
I had to thought about Boogie, man. His career wasn't supposed to end like this, bro. It wasn't supposed to end like this. Boogie was I don't care what nobody tell me, man. That's a top 75 talent. You can say he wasn't winning, but he was on the fucking Kings, bro. Raz, take us out of here. Shout out to the homie Paulie Pockets. Appreciate you, my G, as always. Shout out to everybody.
Niggas should be like our Rios, bro. I
can't go for it. I don't do the empty stats thing a lot. I don't do that. You
think the Kevin Love shit was empty stats, bro?
There was some inflation going on there. We just talk about impact. But yeah, Raz, take us out of here, bro. We wrapping this up. Draft Season podcast. We're gonna have fantasy football episode coming for y'all sometime early next week. We're also gonna be hitting you guys over with some round ball, with some ball talk. Also be on the lookout. We dropping content on YouTube coming shortly. But yeah, Raz, take us out of here, my G.
Yeah, first of all, fuck y'all. Kevin Love was a decent suggestion. He would have been number like 101, so whatever. This has been the Draft Season podcast.
Kevin Love played in the 60s. He would definitely be on this list.
I mean, yes, if Kevin Love played in the 60s, he would be the greatest basketball player of all time. But yeah, shout out Paulie Pockets one more time. This has been a Draft Season podcast, and we will holler at you.
We gonna have